Picture this. No, Dame, hello. Dame, hold on. Hello, Dame.
Hello, Pete.
Kristen is gone this week off at a conference in which, at the conference, a financial conference, she just won the rock, paper, scissors championship.
That's what I'm told to believe.
I will also note that at this said conference, she got recognized several times as the financial celebrity that she is. So that's good for her ego. So she's going to be a lot of fun when she comes back.
Oh, tremendous.
Speaking of travel, Dame, for those that have listened to the show for a while, you know the vaunted tale of when I was on an airplane. I was watching a movie that I'd been wanting to see on the seat back.
Mhm.
And it got to a very adult scene in which people were unclothed.
Mm.
One, I didn't expect this to be the case because I probably would not have watched that in public. And B, the pilot chose to make an announcement. And as you know, on a flight, the screen freezes. And so then it was a long announcement. And so it's just a nude person. And all the people on the plane's eyes went to my seat back and judged me as a creepy person. Do we remember this?
Yeah, I think about it fondly. And as a cautionary tale, whenever I am on a plane watching a movie, trying to figure out if this is going to have one of those potential moments.
So this week, when I was traveling to West Palm Beach on a day trip, 19-hour day on Wednesday, Dame, left, did my thing in Florida, came back that day. That's a long day.
Yeah.
I was on a flight, and there is a woman next to me who was watching Netflix on her iPad. Okay, so this is smart because if it were ever to, there was a pilot announcement, it would never freeze.
Sure.
Right? So she's on her iPad, and I'm working. I'm on my laptop. And I notice, I look over, there's a flesh-toned color on the screen.
Well, people, like, I mean, could be Baywatch. Maybe she was watching Baywatch. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what she was watching, but I'll note that the people did not have clothes on. And so I'm looking at, and I kind of give her a look like, hey, you're creepy, because, and then she gives me this look right back of like, hey, you're creepy, because I'm watching her nudity. It's hers. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a tough sell for me. I mean, if you're watching that out in public and somebody is potentially judging you and your decisions, you can't judge that person right back because they're.
I'll just note this, and this is where I need, our years of friendship and your honesty to poke through. When it was me accidentally, and then the pilot got involved, I felt creepy. When it was this woman who was voluntarily watching nudity, and the nudity caught my eye, she wasn't creepy, but I was again creepy. And I don't understand. You don't think so?
I don't think you were creepy at all. I mean, it's not your fault she was watching in slow motion.
I don't know. And here's the other thing. Then I'm sitting there, I'm working on a memo to some of our team members on my laptop, and I'm like, I'm at a work event, and this is inappropriate. I've almost had to get with Oz and report it.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pete the Pilot Show. Dame, with what's going on in the background of our show here, with some decisions we're trying to make, and the idea that I may or may not have to become more professional on this show. You wonder if stories like that will go to the wayside.
So I think we have like, maybe, yeah, it's potential. Yeah.
That was, yeah. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a show. Dame, you have a game show for me to start.
Yeah.
We also this week, and I know I'm going inside baseball, we also discussed that it's possible that our show, which is a show within a show, could potentially become a show within a show within a show. And that I love.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's either Inception or Seinfeld. I'm just not sure which it is.
It's exciting to think about. Okay. You got a game show, could go 1 or 2 segments, right?
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I switched mic covers this week, and I don't feel like I should tell people that for no particular reason, but it just came out of my mouth, and I just, in full disclosure, new mic this week.
And they're probably wondering why you just sound so amazing.
Like, wow, it must be all that flying and the
Yeah.
visual intrigue.
So I'm glad you went with intrigue and not stimulation.
On a different one of my 4 flights on Wednesday, where are we? We are in Atlanta, taxiing to the runway to take off to come back to Indianapolis. Taxiing. All of a sudden, the pressure in the plane starts pulsing, like the pressurization system. And you can kind of hear the popping. People's sinuses are popping, their ears are popping, and everyone on the plane's like grabbing their head, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, it's not a tumor. Like, it's very, and it felt like that. And the pilot comes on and he's like, our system failed. We're ready to go back to the gate. Because, like, if we take off in these conditions, your brains will be smashed. And so we went back to the gate and had to change planes. And, like, it was terrible.
Did it feel kind of like when you're driving down the road and you crack one of your windows just a little bit and you get that?
No, it was actually like medically worse. Like it was bad. What is that? I mean, the acoustics of when you crack one window and it just goes.
It seems like that's a GPT question that we can look up later.
All right, Dame. Let's do this. We're without Kristen, so the show's either going to be like amazing or terrible, and probably nowhere in between.
Probably.
Okay. We almost had Doug on the show this week as Bitcoin as so close to 100,000. If it happens during the show, I'll go get him and he'll be on here.
If we had a show next week, I think he'd be on next week.
Yeah, I think so too. He says he doesn't think it's going to happen before the end of the month because of options, but whatever. We're ready. In 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com, and we will possibly answer your question on the air. When I say we, today, I mean Damian Andrew Dunn. The kids call him Dad. Well, his cats call him Dad. He joins me now. Hello, Dame.
Hello, Pete.
So Dame, Kristen is off this week, winning the Rock, Paper, Scissors World Championship at a financial conference.
This should surprise exactly nobody.
You know, we reimburse our colleagues for travel and or we just pay for the travel with our corporate cards. And I thought, man, she's at a Rock, Paper, Scissors Championship. I'm not sure we're paying for this one.
Yeah, we'll take one session out. My question is, is that reward she got, is that become taxable?
What was the reward? I didn't see it.
$60.
$60. What a weird hey, you won a parlor game. Here's $73.
One for rock, one for paper, one for scissors, 20s each. I don't know.
Good thinking. All right, Dame, you have designed a game show for this here financial show that people listen to on the radio, podcast, and live stream on the internet. So why don't you tell me about the show and host it? And I believe I'm the contestant.
Yeah, I mean, it's dual participation. We're both going to chime in on these, but it's a pretty simple concept. It is this or that financial edition. I'm going to give you a couple different items. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of context around them because I want you to try and just absorb it and think of whatever comes to your mind first. You can contextualize your answer however you want to, but I'm going to ask you to pick this or that. Well, let's start with a super easy one to start, just to get the ball rolling.
All right, let's do that.
This or that, debit or credit card?
I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm saying credit card.
I am too.
And here's why. I used to be a hardcore debit card guy.
Mm-hmm.
But all it takes is one act of malfeasance from someone else, and you're in deep, deep trouble. I'll even note years ago here at Advanced Planning Solutions, I used to use my business debit card all the time with all the payroll money in that account. And then one day, nothing bad happened. I just kind of woke up. I was like, well, this is inherently stupid. So it's not for the points that I use credit cards. It's for the security of the money in my checking account. What say you, Dame?
I totally agree. I love the idea of being able to limit yourself with the debit card, but there's a lot of liability when you're using a debit card, especially these days, putting those numbers out there on the internet with all of the hacking and data breaches that go on all over the place, that you're safer to use the credit card. And if you have a problem with credit card spending, reconsider how often you pay the credit card off. If you want to use it more like a debit card where you pay the bill weekly instead of monthly, go for it. But it's really hard for me to come up with a good reason to choose a debit card over a credit card these days.
Yeah, it's not even, I mean, it's not without its risk. You know, you can get yourself in trouble with credit cards, but I would never, ever enter a debit card number online, ever. And to think about it, in terms of commerce, daily commerce, there is only 2 places I use my debit card. 2. 1, Costco, because you have to.
Oh, okay.
Number 2, Bagel Fair, which is the local bagel shop who does not accept American Express, and that's what I got. So I have to use my debit card there.
You could use cash.
What?
Maybe that should have been the third option, or cash.
All right, so you do this or that. I chose that, and you also chose that.
Yep, I did. All right, so let's expand this a little bit. This is technically a this, that, or that, because there's 3 options here. High yield savings account, CD, or government bonds.
I mean, high yield savings account, in my opinion, is probably the most versatile. But at these days, you might get more yield on the government bonds potentially. But I'll go high yield savings accounts. What do you think?
Yeah, for the sheer simplicity of the transaction, when I think of these 3 things, I'm trying to figure out what's a safe short-term place to stash some cash. There's nothing wrong with government bonds. In fact, as you indicated, Pete, I think there's a good likelihood that you're going to actually come out ahead if you're starting to buy longer term government bonds right now that are going to hold that interest rate as they continue to drop, as the rest of the rate environment continues to drop. But high yield savings accounts are just so easy. I talk to lots of people every week, and anytime the topic of emergency funds comes up, high yield savings accounts are a for sure addition to that conversation unless they bring it up first.
And the thing is, you can sometimes get them at your local bank or credit union, whatever banking institution you use. But I'll just note anecdotally, I think any ones that I have are not with my main bank. They're at other places, usually online, of which I have to give my debit card to get on. Oh no, it all broke. Dame, what do you think the most archaic financial instrument of these 3 options are right now? A check, a CD, or good old-fashioned savings bonds? What do you think is the most antiquated, like useless thing?
CDs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like, why? High yield savings accounts often pay more than the CD.
Yeah.
And you don't risk the liquidity challenges.
Yeah. The catch is, obviously, if you're in a declining interest rate environment, that if you lock in a CD for a 3 or whatever year period, you're going to earn more over the long run. But you could say the same about government bonds or a government bond ETF or whatever. You're going to get better yield out of that and not have any liquidity challenges with that. So high yield savings accounts, the rates typically are right around what you would anticipate getting in a CD, a longer term CD. Yes, there is an interest rate risk that it'll go down if rates continue to fall, but you don't have to worry about it. Just go get your money and send it back to your checking account, use it however you need to, and then rebuild the account. You don't have to buy little CDs here along the way if you want, or wait to pool the money and buy a bigger CD at some point in the future. It's just so much more convenient.
I will say that I think what sometimes people do with a CD, it's like they just tuck the money away, and they like that. They like the fact that it's compartmentalized kind of digitally. The weird thing is, we all know money is digital at this point when it hits an institution. But there's something about a CD that feels like tangible. Like it feels like your money is somehow in a safe deposit box, and someone goes and just sneaks some pennies into it every once in a while.
Yeah, you've got a tangible investment in your hands.
One more before the break. This or that, starring Dame Dunn.
At nearly $100,000, long or short Bitcoin?
Okay, now you're just really you're really getting aggressive here. Okay. Short.
Yeah, I think it's short too for the shorter period of time. Do I think Bitcoin will be above $100,000 at some day? Yeah, I do. But I think it's going to have a pretty serious pullback. And I wish it would have been $100,000 today so we could have asked Doug that same question.
See, Doug broke one of the rules of radio, and he doesn't know because he's never been on here with us. He started telling me all the reasons why it's so great this morning out in the office, and I was like, Doug, save it for the radio, man. And he had some compelling reasons of why this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning.
I still need to be convinced. I mean, I've looked into it, I've studied it, I've read up on it, and I still can't get behind it entirely.
He gave me a very compelling argument, I have to say, this morning, that I'm not going to steal his thunder, but that's why he shouldn't tell me, because I will steal anyone's thunder.
Yeah, let's flip out.
I'm short. Here's the thing. Let's say it goes wild. I can accomplish the goals I want to accomplish in a different way, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
that's the long and short of it for me. That's it. It's just like I already have a method. I'm trying to accomplish things. I don't need the volatility risk of those instruments.
Yeah, but just think how much more exciting you'd be if you did have it.
Well, speaking of excitement, listen to some commercials. We'll be back right after those commercials. I'm Pete the Planner. At Worthington Industries, Mrs. Planner and I wish that was a fake commercial. Mrs. Planner and I were grocery shopping last Sunday, and like two olds, we had some time. The kids were somewhere, like, you want to go to the grocery? Going to the grocery. There's an actual old couple in front of us. Like, they're in their 70s, right? Not that that's old. They're just older than us. They're old. And there was a holiday display, a candy display. And the guy picked up a large pack of Werthers. He goes, "Well, you look at the size of this." And it was like, it was the most stereotypical thing ever. Old guy bemused by Werthers.
2 questions. Who drove to the grocery store, and then who pushed the cart?
Dude, you're the best. These are great questions. Number 1. Have we ever talked about driving with our partners in the car? Have we? No. I always drive for a couple reasons, but the primary one is I get car sick if I'm not driving like that.
Interesting.
So I drive. Number 2, I would say I push the cart 70% of the time, but it's not an established thing per se.
Yeah.
What say you? What are yours?
I would say I probably push the cart a little bit more frequently than 70% of the time. But yeah, I drive. If Mrs. Advice and I are going somewhere, I am 98% of the time we'll drive.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm not going to go to the I'm a better driver route, because I don't necessarily believe that, or that I'd rather drive, and I don't think she cares.
Yeah.
Oh, Jameson says wife pushes cart because she wants to keep her purse in it. Well, that's interesting too.
She won't let you push her purse around?
Would you trust Jameson with your purse?
Yeah, that's fair.
No way. No way. Okay. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
What are we going to do here?
Do you want to do another segment of this?
Do you got any more?
I've got a few more. We might be able to make it through a segment here.
Or do
you want to do a question?
No, let's do. I got a total pivot.
Okay.
Total pivot.
Shocking.
I was at a meeting with Ben yesterday, and we were talking to some other people at a different organization. And I turned to Ben and me. I was like, "Ben, I hate to put you on the spot." And he goes, No, you don't. No, you actually don't. You don't. Jason says he pushes the cart because his wife would put not needs in it.
Oh,
jeez. That dude he's like Dikembe swatting marshmallows out of the cart. I push the cart with my wife's purse in it. Chris, that's the sort of fella you are. You're a good man. Jameson's not to be trusted. Everyone knows this about him. Hi, everyone else. Jen, Danza, Cheryl, Rochelle, Andy. I was like, where's Andy? There's Andy. I get so sad when Andy's not here. I feel like if she's usually here, if she's not here, I'm like, we've lost Andy. Not that like she's dead, but she's more of like she doesn't listen to the show anymore, and it makes me feel sad about my life. Calm mom. Big mistake to put purse in cart. Lots of theft going on in Indy. Well, how can you stay so calm mom?
She doesn't put her purse in the cart.
Yeah. That's like, I'd be calm mom too if I. Does she use one of those money belts, like this 1980s flesh tone crossbody purses that you're supposed to use as you travel with your traveler's checks?
I don't think we have to go the flesh tone route.
They are flesh tone. A money belt by definition.
No, they aren't.
Every money belt I've ever worn is flesh toned.
I've had black. How many have you worn?
None. but you know, they're flesh toned. A lot of flesh tone references today here on the show.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what happens when you're in your airplane. Some lady next to you is watching 55 Shades of Grey because it was wild.
How Kristen reviews the show every week. Do you think she makes it all the way through this one, or does she just skip it since she's not involved?
She usually listens back to the shows that she's on. What'd she say, 3 times?
Yeah, she watches it, she listens to it, and then I think she translates it to Braille.
Chris notes the recent Nextdoor post about Kroger announcing not to put personal items in cart because of theft. Man, are people out there? Rick Swink has a money belt.
Is it? Got to know, Rick. You open the door. Is it flesh
toned? We're gonna need a picture of your flesh and the money belt.
Yeah, preferably use your arm with the money belt.
Gosh, what are we doing? Oh, I have a heart out. We got to go. In 3, 2. I'll figure out the topic as we go here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show, talking all the things that we've planned to talk about all week long to help your personal finances go from a 4 to a 5 on a 10-point scale.
No.
Dame, I wrote a column for the Indianapolis Business Journal last week where I had a mea culpa about my relationship as a homeowner.
Oh,
I am not a good homeowner, and I feel like it's a problem financially. So I want to kind of walk through this idea with you that all of us have this tangential area of our life in which our finances are impacted by our B- relationship with that element. So for me, it's home ownership. Okay. So Damon, I'm not going to endorse a particular company here, but I use a company to solve this, and we can talk about it. So, Dame, here's my problem. As you may or may not know, I consider myself to have a very busy lifestyle.
Yes.
How I choose to spend my time when in my free time, it's not repairing my house.
Mm-hmm.
Our house is clean. It's very nice and livable, but it's 17 years old. There's some issues, right? Trim outside's bad. We recently, as we've noted here on this podcast, I've got a imperialist squirrel that moved into our attic, which is nuts. And just like all sorts of things. So anyway, I got introduced to this idea of what's called like a home concierge program. Okay. So what you do is it becomes the person that thinks about, schedules, vets, quotes, all of those things, and then coordinates all of that. You pay them a small fee, and they've got pre-vetted vendors. Because my least favorite thing about being a homeowner, I've got 2 or 3 categories of trusted vendors, like contractors that I know, but there's so many I don't. So I don't go down the path to search out to solve those challenges in my house because I don't know who to trust. So anyway, I will stop there. Dame, does this sound crazy to you? Because you've got an older home too, and you somehow keep up on your stuff, do you?
I mean, if we're being completely transparent, there are some things that are starting to slip that are going ignored around the house. Some things that Pete, I don't know if you've told yourself this over the years. You know what? The kids are still young. I'm just going to wait until they kind of get out of this phase, and then maybe we'll repaint the walls or replace carpet or whatever that may be. And so there's some things that could use attention around our homestead.
So here's the lie I've always told myself around this, and this is why it's financial. by the time Mrs. Planner and I move out of this home, we will both own it outright,
Mhm.
and it will have doubled in value.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's to say, when I'm doing the math of deferred maintenance of, oh, we're going to have to fix some stuff before we leave, I think, well, none of it's going to be out of my pocket. It's just we're just going to take it off the,
Sure.
the proceeds from the sale. But then I was like, if I'm strategically going that way, seems like a wasted opportunity and possibly wasted money, because those problems, some of them, especially if moisture gets involved, get worse and worse and worse. And so Mrs. Planner and I said, all right, we are going to make this a concerted effort of our financial life to take this B- and turn it into something better. For some people, this area I'm talking about might be your taxes, right? For other people, it might be your investing, might be your insurance. I think a lot of people have this relationship with insurance. It's just like, it's a B-. It's not great. For us, it was housing.
Yeah. Insurance, super common. I mean, a lot of people think they're doing great things with their own investments, which is debatable in some cases, where you really could benefit from working with a professional to take some of the emotion and some of the false sense of security through some strategy that you've potentially given yourself as well. So having a professional involved in your life and paying a reasonable fee for it can make a noticeable difference in your financial life, just as much as the trim on your house.
Again, this isn't a commercial. I'm not getting paid by the people I'm paying. Oddly enough, it's called NeighborServe. NeighborServe. And what's interesting is they come out to your house and they do like a full inspection. And then there's a website they have. What are you laughing at, Dave?
It was just like, man, I don't think I'd like to see the results of.
No, it's humbling.
Yeah.
And they do an inspection, and then they just have like a project list, and then they go and gather quotes for all of it. And at first, my mind was at this place of like, okay, well, this is going to cost tens of thousands of dollars, right? Like, oh my gosh. But there was some part of it that actually ended up making me feel better when I saw this list, because some of the things weren't as bad as we thought. And then the other thing is, at least it felt like you had a plan to attack these things and go down. And, they give you sort of estimates of how much longer they think this is going to last. And it just made so much sense. Like, and again, you and I've talked about this for so long. Convenience is exchanging money for time. I have more money than time right now. And so I'm using some money to save time. And the time I'm saving is finding contractors for these things that I'm going to have to go home from work. I got to meet this contractor. I got to find another one. And who do you like? Who do you try? And I'm just like, it's too much.
Help me understand this relationship a little bit better. Is it, I understand what you've explained to me so far. Do they also serve as a quasi landlord type of relationship where you call them and say, hey, this broke?
Yep.
We need to get this addressed as soon as possible. Like, I got locked out of my house.
You can use them in that capacity for sure.
Okay.
You have a text number and you just, hey, I noticed this or that. Like, hey, no problem. We'll get somebody on it.
Okay. Wow. I mean, it sounds intriguing. I mean, I don't know how many times we've talked that the mortgage payment that you make every month is just the start of the cost of being a homeowner. It's not just a simple transaction, because you've got all these things that need to be maintained around the house. And if you have to try and figure out how to do that on your own, as you've discovered and so eloquently put, it takes time. And if you can't spare the time, these things get deferred and deferred and deferred and deferred. And before you know it, you've got some really, really big problems on your hands. So if there's a company out there that can help sort through this, or a style of companies, or a niche of companies that can help a homeowner sort through this for a reasonable fee, it's a really interesting concept.
You and I've talked about this idea for years. So I like having a person for something.
Yeah, right.
Like, remember Jeff, the car guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. He moved from Indiana to Iowa. So now, then I didn't have a car guy. And then you think about my relationship with cars in the last several years. I hate it. I
Mhm.
hate it because I don't have a person just tells me what to do on that. I'll also say the genius idea of this business idea for of this concierge service is that they go and vet these contractors who then want to keep them happy, so they keep getting served up amazing low acquisition business opportunities. You know,
Are you paying we're getting into the weeds. Are you paying, normal hourly rates, for these companies? Are there negotiated rates? Do you have any idea?
they're discounted.
Wow.
I know. Now here's the thing, and this is not my problem. This is not a business that it is improved with technology, but I don't know if it scales on a massive level because it's about people and relationships and trust. And I don't think digitally you can go, you know, they can't take on 10,000 customers. They
Sure.
just can't do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough of this. On to our stock picks of the year. 1 month to go. Who's doing well? Who's not? It's our annual rock, paper, scissors. That's next on the Pete Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. I will tell you what I pay for that service if you want to hear it, but I want you to guess.
Frankly, I would love to. Is it it's a monthly fee that you pay regardless of whether you use them or not, or is it
It's an
annual?
annual fee, but you can pay monthly.
$500.
No, it's a lot more than that.
$1,500.
$1,700.
Okay.
But it's worth it to me. You know what I mean? Like it's like it is not bothersome to me.
Is there a discount after the first year since they've got more labor involved with the home inspection and whatnot, or is that just part of the?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'll say this: the other way I've justified it, because I've justified it about 10 different ways, and what I in a fair way is like the discounts they get on the services more than make up for the $1,700.
That's where my mind was going. Is that if you have enough work done at discounted rates, then gosh, it seems like it's, I don't want to say a no brainer because it's it's still $1,700, which isn't nothing for a lot of folks. But goodness, if you could have somebody coordinate and quarterback all of that stuff, I would imagine if it's a multiple day job, do they are they kind of the foreman for it? They make sure it's done to the right quality and all that, or is that
they just what they'll do is they'll say, "Hey, how'd it go?" Like they'll follow with me a couple days later. How'd it go? Went great, and then they'll, sometimes they'll leave an email. They'll be like, "Hey, I know you got that quote. Were you able to talk to them?" Like it's really like high service. And by the way, Chris and Andy were asking. That's an annual expense I gave there, not a monthly expense.
Interesting.
I mean, theoretically, you could say, okay, I'm going to hire these people for a year and do everything and just crank it all out and just pay them once,
Yeah.
But the more you're into it, it's like, it's a 17-year-old house. There's always going to be something. Like you can get it up to speed at some point. There's always going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll coordinate lawn stuff if you want, like anything. Okay.
Amazing. Squirrel removal.
Oh, that squirrel is out. He is out. He hasn't even been around like the house at all, like the outside.
Mm-hmm.
He was watching them seal the holes and he was angry. And he had this little squirrel, like a knapsack, like a hobo stick and bundle.
Of course.
And he just sort of scampered off like that.
Yeah.
I saw it. Andy wants to know about your birds. And if we're asking about your birds, I want to ask about your mice.
Birds haven't been an issue since they were evicted. And the spot where they were nesting was closed up. So birds are no longer an issue for me. Mice, I was just wondering about Marvin this morning. I haven't seen Marvin in a while, which is weird because you'd think now that it's getting colder, I'd see him scampering around a little bit, but no Marvin, no sightings of Marvin recently.
All right, got a heart out. Let's keep it moving. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show. Dame, at the beginning of each year, the hosts of this show make their annual stock picks. What stock's going to be the best? Which one's going to be the worst? And what is the S&P 500 going to do? This is for entertainment purposes only. It is not an investment advice. And the best picker of the three of us isn't here today. She's out winning a rock, paper, scissors championship at a financial conference paid for by our organization. So again, we're questioning that. But anyway, Dame, can you give us an update with 1 month to go post-election? What are the picks? How are they doing? Who's happy? Who's not? Let's go.
Yeah, I think you might have gotten ahead of yourself actually a little bit by saying the best picker among us is not here.
Whoa. I did not expect that.
Let's start with the winners, Pete. Do you remember who you picked for the winner?
I feel it's like a Holka mining or something like that. Hecla mining.
Yeah, well-known, Canadian, coast to coast, Hecla mining. Pete, they're having a great year.
Yeah,
you're absolutely crushing it.
Oh,
they're up 30.5%.
Let's go. By the way, I do not own Hecla mining. Yeah. This is for entertainment purposes.
I believe none of us own any of these things or have put options out on any of these.
Other than the S&P 500.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I chose Delta Airlines.
Okay.
Things were a little shaky at one point this year on Delta. Pete, Delta Airlines is up 59.6%.
Flying high.
Flying high. Kristen has had the lead in this category all year.
For years.
Well, yes, but Bluebird buses.
Oh, with the Department of Education going away, is it going to take a hit?
She is still in the lead. Remember, I have 59.6%. Yeah. She is at 60.6% year to date. It's going to be a nail biter through the end of the year.
Plane versus bus.
You would have picked like Norfolk and Southern. We could have really done this right.
Well, planes, trains, and automobiles.
Correct.
Wow. So I'm probably toast there, but you guys are going to battle it out to the end.
I really think it's going to be neck and neck for the rest of the year on this.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we did it right. Look at us. We got one right.
How about the biggest loser?
Kristen picked AMC. So she was the winner in the last one, or leader in this one. We will start with her on the loser side. AMC movie theaters, they are down 18.3% year to date.
And again, here's the thing about this selection. Number one, it's not investment advice. We've covered that. Number two, it's kind of a perverse game because you end up cheering for companies to struggle, and that means people aren't staying employed. So yeah, we understand that. So we try to take it easy, but good job, Kristen, on choosing something that's down 18%.
For those of you just listening to this for the first time, that's Pete trying to cushion his own guilt at this point. I chose Beyond Meat for economic and philosophical reasons. It has been widely discussed on this show whenever we come up with stock picks. They're down 39.2% this year.
I will say this, Dame. There are two things that I know can get you going. Government spending, and then lab-grown meat.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, government spending / taxes, and then lab-grown meat. Those are two really, really good ways to start getting me cranked up.
Have you had any replacement animal products to eat yet in 2024? Have you had any?
Why would I do that?
I'm just curious. Like if you're at a place and they're like, "Oh, we've got a veggie burger," and you're like, "Okay,
no."
Okay. I'm just I told you he gets upset.
No, it's just wrong. Why would you replace beef with soy something?
Okay, well here's maybe a easier question. If you're maybe eating like an Asian fare, would you ever order tofu as a protein, or is that also a hard no?
I would avoid it if at all possible.
Have you had tofu?
I believe somebody snuck it into one of my meals a couple times, but I do not actively seek out tofu.
Yeah, your brand is strong.
Am I missing out? I mean, is tofu really all that? Are you having a tofu burger or beef? If you have the choice, Pete.
I mean, sometimes tofu is a nice change up if you're having like a tofu, like a stir fry or something. Like it's okay.
Pete.
What? It's cheaper too. Okay. Enough of
Anyway,
You're getting very upset.
the biggest loser of our picks, Pete's the winner on this one. Big Lots. We all know that Big Lots have had some.
May they rest in peace.
Yeah, well, they're no longer with us. So technically, I think you can still buy some of their shares in Pink Sheets somewhere because it says you're only down 92% for the year. But that's
100%
only. It's symbolic only. So Pete's the winner.
That's a tough one. You never want to see that. But here's the thing: when we pick stocks for next year in January or whenever we do it, we're going to be looking for companies that we think are going to go bankrupt.
Yeah, all over again, and then we're going to have to give this this explanation every time we talk about our picks.
I was at the airport this week when I saw the news that Spirit Airlines filed for bankruptcy, and I walked by the gate to Spirit Airlines, and I thought, man, wonder what it's like to get on a plane knowing that they just filed for bankruptcy. That's terrifying, right?
Yeah, I probably would have asked kindly to be removed from that flight.
Do you really think? I mean, are you kind of joking, or do you kind of mean that? Like, think about this. Okay, picture this. I'll tell. You're at the airport. You're going to go to the Beyond Meat's annual shareholder meeting.
Sure.
As an activist investor, and you're at the gate. You got a nice deal at Spirit Airlines. You get an alert on your phone, and it says Spirit Airlines files for bankruptcy. And then you hear, we're now boarding Platinum, Gold, Premier, Diamond. And then that's your boarding group. What do you do?
I mean, in reality, I'd probably get on the plane, but there would be some genuine moments of reflection on whether or not it's in my best interest to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
without jobs at this point. I mean, it just seems like it's a potentially really bad environment.
How about our S&P 500 predictions for the year? What did we guess, and where are we right now with 1 month to go?
I picked 6 because that's who I am.
6%.
Yeah, 6%. Kristen chose 8%. Pete, ever the optimist, chose 14%. Year to date, 25.8%.
Still time for me to be right. You know, look, what I guessed the previous year, 22 or something like that.
Hey, it seems like you're always in the high teens, low 20s.
I have been accused of being an eternal optimist.
Can I make a suggestion for next year?
Sure. I don't have to accept it, but I'll listen to it.
We add another category. We have 4 things that we guess on.
Okay, what's the 4th?
Bitcoin price at the end of the year.
Oh, Lord.
You talk about something where we are literally over our skis.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just making a guess because there is some strategy and understanding of how markets work and being able to find some of this stuff for some of these other things. I feel like Bitcoin is really just a game of chance between the 3 of us at that point.
I think we need to listen to our resident Bitcoin expert, Doug Collins, talk to us about Bitcoin before we make our predictions.
I think that's fair.
All right. So what should you learn from this? Number 1, we're pretty good at this point. S&P 500 is tough to predict, but we are pretty good on the other ones. We know what's going to go up. We know what's going to go down, and you should take none of that information and apply it to your own portfolios. Dame, I am thinking for next year through the lens of a new presidential administration, what's going to do well and what's going to not do well. And I'm just telling you now, that's how I'm going to make my picks for January.
That's fair. I think I already know who you want to pick for your loser next year.
Biggest waste of money of the week and the news are next. Do you have amazing news items for us this week, Dame?
Mediocre.
Great. That's all next right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. All right. We made up for downtime there.
Heather is someone, as you note, that was forced into a vegetarian lifestyle, veggie burgers and whatnot. Please understand, I'm not poking fun at your situation at all. I would just much rather prefer to do things the way I've done them forever. So,
yeah, no, I get that. That's fair. Yeah, I would eat. I would eat those things, but I don't. You know what I mean? I'm not like philosophically opposed to them. Okay. I've got a pretty good Blom for you this week. My Bloms have been good.
You have had some stellar Bloms.
All right, let's drop those Bloms right now. I don't know. Oh, I have an announcement.
Okay.
I'm unretiring for comedy one night only in December.
No.
Yeah.
Is it the same gig that you did a few years ago?
Last year, yeah. Well, it's my cousin Danny, the funniest member of the Dunn family.
Sure.
Puts together a show at Victory Field, Indianapolis Indians Victory Field. It's in the Suites area. We did a show last year, and we're doing it again this year. So we talked on the phone last night. I'm in the show.
What'd you sign? What's your set? How long's your set?
I'm hosting, so not only do I get to do a set at the beginning, but then between everyone else's, I get to make up other stuff.
Yeah, so it's perfect for you.
It's perfect for me.
You can do 5 minutes up front and then get the show rolling. Probably.
I might do 5 to 10, 10 maybe. And then Danny was like, "Do you have 10?" And I was like, no, but I will. Like,
yeah.
What? We do this show every week, and we got nothing.
Some weeks that's more obvious than others.
Yeah. I'm okay. So anyway, if you want tickets, I'll post them somewhere, like the link if people are interested. Anyway, it's on what's the Friday, the December 20th, maybe?
Sounds about right.
Okay. Let's start in 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Plane Show is the Caviar Oracle Apple Vision Pro headset. Caviar is known for its ultra-luxe takes on the iPhone. Now it's tackling the newest Apple gadget, the Vision Pro. Dubbed the Oracle, it enhances Apple's already fancy headset with hand-stitched leather, a 24-karat gold frame, customizable 24-karat gold side inserts, and a 24-karat gold plaque carrying the individual serial number, limited to 49 pieces. Just for context, Dame, an Apple Vision Pro headset retails for $3,499. How much is the Caviar Oracle Apple Vision Pro headset?
You said limited to 49 pieces. I'm going with $49,000.
Oh, you guys usually guess under. You guessed over this time. $26,700. And I'm looking at it, and you're looking at it there. I mean, it kind of looks all right, but it's just like, man, what a waste.
It's just fancy ski goggles is what it looks like.
You do know one of our engineers now has a couple different AR headsets that he'll have here, and he'll just be standing out there, and he's just like moving our software around, and it's wild. I'm like, man, we hired the right guy. We got an AR goggle guy.
I've got some friends who have some AR goggles, and I've done a couple different things on them. For the right application, it's wild. Other stuff, it's a total letdown.
Dang, what's in the news this week?
It's one banana, Pete. How much could it cost?
$6 million.
$6.24 million. That's how much the viral duct tape banana art piece Comedian sold for at the Sotheby's auction this week. It was purchased by crypto entrepreneur, easier for me to say, Justin Sun, who beat out 6 rival bidders for the Potassium Prize. Here's the thing. The artist originally created this, and then 3 more editions that he sold for $120,000 to $150,000 each. And now it went and sold for $6.25 million. It's literally just a banana duct taped with one piece of duct tape to a piece of drywall.
Is that just a flex? Is that what that is? Like, it's just like, oh, I have a lot of money, so I'm going to do that. Like, why would you do that?
Art is something I clearly don't understand, because how somebody could look at this and say, yeah, I will spend $6.25 million on this. The same thing with NFTs. I didn't understand those either, which are ostensibly about as valuable as a banana. And this ain't gonna go bad. I mean, what's it isn't gonna rot on the wall? I mean, is it sealed in shellac or something? I mean, what's the deal?
Well, the guy says he's going to eat it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's going to rip it off the wall and eat it.
It's like the Banksy that dropped into the shredder.
Yeah, see, that's great. I think that was amazing.
Yeah, I appreciated that one.
What else is in the news?
Google could be without its industry-leading browser if the Department of Justice gets its way. This week, the Department of Justice officials will ask a judge who previously ruled Google search was an illegal monopoly to force the company to sell Chrome in what would be a landmark moment for antitrust efforts in the U.S., Bloomberg reported. But why Chrome? Regulators view the browser, the world's most popular, as a key beachhead for users to access Google's search engine. There's still a long way to go before the Chromeless Google would be a reality. Google said it plans to appeal the case, and the judge won't make a final call until August of 2025.
Slow week at the Department of Justice.
Apparently.
Slow news week.
I mean, do you remember learning about monopolies and things getting broken up in high school, like all the baby bells and all that stuff? I'm probably forgetting something, but man, it doesn't seem like we've had anything that significant until recent, like what I think is going to happen with some of the technology companies.
Yeah, I know it's meant to keep prices down and the competitive nature of fairness and all these sorts of things, but like forcing Google to sell Chrome, again, I don't understand it, so I'll admit that. But I'm like, what? Who cares? Like, why would if I build a business that was that big and that impactful, and then I had to sell a piece off because it was too successful, it would drive me crazy.
Pete is for the billionaires. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, kind of.
Pete, have we discussed the McRib before?
Oh, I believe we have, because I love a McRib.
McDonald's announced the mythological McRib is coming back to participating locations nationwide December 3rd for a limited time. Does that mean that stocks go up? According to a 2018 analysis by Nick, I always butcher his last name, Maggiuli, yes, it does. While acknowledging that a causation does not equal correlation, he found that the S&P 500 has a higher average daily return of roughly 7 basis points than on trading days when it's not available. In annualized terms, that translates to a 19% difference for the year.
That's crazy. So how long is it coming back for? Do we know this time?
Doesn't say. This just says limited time.
Where are you at on a McRib?
I've never had one.
Dude, they're great.
I was told they were made with tofu.
You don't like pickles, do you?
No, I don't.
Nah, yeah, you got to like pickles and raw white onion to really appreciate the McRib.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll give it a shot. I don't know.
Next time you're at the office here, are you coming? If you come here before the end of the year, the McDonald's is right down there. I'll go get us some McRibs and we can film it. It'd be great.
I wasn't planning on it, but I could be tempted to come down
with $4 fake pork sandwich. Great. What else?
400%. That's the increase in check fraud last year, according to the Treasury Department. Scammers are increasingly using message boards and social media to promote low-tech paper check cons and to figure out which banks to target next. By depositing altered checks and quickly withdrawing the cash, fraudsters exploit banks' requirements to make the customer money available before fully verifying the checks. Financial firms are racing to stay ahead of it. 400%, Pete, for something that, what do you think? 3/4 of our team probably hasn't touched a checkbook in maybe forever.
Goes to my earlier point that it's such an antiquated tool. Like, I'm not going to get into the blockchain and why digital currency can make more sense, but we've kind of solved that problem, you know?
Yeah.
Did you see the story that there's a ring of thefts coming out of South America around professional athletes where like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce for the Kansas City Chiefs had a road game somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they find out where they live when they're on the road, and then they go rob NBA and NFL players' houses while they're at road games. And it's like happening all over the place. And so they're just like, there was a big note that went out from the leagues of like, hey, make sure to lock down your stuff on road games because there's a ring that's trying to steal all your stuff. That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, that's really crazy.
And you also hear it and you think, why haven't people always done that?
Well, yeah, it's very easy. You know exactly when people are going to be there and when they're not. And you've got a pretty good window. I mean, yeah, that's Yeah, that's weird.
Do you have any other news stories?
I do. This percent, Pete, is the share of crop farm hands who aren't legally authorized to work in the United States, according to the Labor Department.
Man. 40%?
42.
Whoa.
42%. The agriculture industry is bracing for Trump's immigration crackdown because migrants do some of its most challenging jobs, such as picking fruit, operating machinery, and slaughtering livestock. Strategies include lobbying for the expanded use of temporary work visas and forging deeper ties with job recruiters.
The look on your face when you said slaughtering livestock was pretty great.
Yeah.
We all know that's. Let me clarify. We all know that industry is going to be in big trouble, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just let that go.
There has to be some solution created for that on at least a temporary basis.
You think they're going to have a solution before they pull the trigger on that?
No.
Okay. Yeah. No way. No way. All right. Well, Dame, this was fun. Wonder if Kristen does listen. I can't wait to read her show notes for us because she will send them.
Yes.
Kristen will be back not next week because it's Black Friday and my birthday on Black Friday. Yeah, happy birthday. Anyway, to the rest of you, sending good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is Pete the Planner Show. Here we go. We did it.
What are you buying yourself this year, Pete? You're going to get up at 3 a.m. to go stand in line for a...
This is a good question, and I want to tell you why it's a good question. I am making some Black Friday purchases this year, but they're all online. They're all online. Like when I think about Black Friday, I don't even think about actual brick and mortar stores anymore. I just think about the deals online.
So much more convenient.
I know. Well, Dame, hopefully Kristen doesn't yell at us for this.
I mean, I'm not holding my breath.
All right. Well, Dame, good luck with your life, and everyone else, stay getting money.